The Hollow Ones by Cody Zellers. It was the first night you could feel the icy pinch of winter in every breath. The two of them were so cold. Thoughts of giving up crept in on numb feet. "There, over there," he shouted happily. She saw it too. What she had been ignoring as the rising harvest moon was actually some kind of structure. Its lighted openings became distinct as they got closer. "What salvation," he said. "Light and warmth," he finished reverently. "There's a sweet smell. Can you smell it? It's wonderful," she said, giddy with anticipation. They scrambled up and down and over and around crisp branches and crackling fallen leaves, away from the stingy frost, towards a glowing sanctuary. They reached it quickly, renewed by the warm, winey bouquet that wafted from the jagged entrance. He went in first, she followed. They were both too happy to discern the acrid tinge of rotting bodies hidden within the delicious odors. The warmth was coming from a fire that blazed at the top of a stout white column, the only source of light in the room. It illuminated the entire rough-hewn interior with yellow-orange glory. There were smaller, angular openings above the one they entered, but besides that, the chamber appeared to be empty. The high domed ceiling did have something hanging from it, but they could barely see beyond the bright centerpiece. They both felt tingly, like they were in the temple of some unknown god, the home of some elemental force of nature. It happened so fast. They were talking, looking around, not facing each other. She heard a whoosh and a short, sharp cry. Her hair bristled in the wake of something big, moving too fast, too close. She spun around and jumped back out of sheer instinct. He was gone. She looked up in time to see his legs kicking. He had been pulled straight up from where he stood. The biggest spider she had ever seen had him in its jaws. Its mandibles had crushed through him. Its acrid venom was already digesting him from the inside out. She saw it now. Why had they been so careless? She saw the thready web den above. He was to join the silk-wrapped brittle bodies that dangled. This haven was a slaughterhouse, the pantry of a monster. There was no time to grieve. She had to escape. They had wandered so far from the entrance, she was afraid to run to it. She started to, then stopped, then started again. "Oh, Wiggly Jiggly One, you must be still," said a haunting voice that came from nowhere in particular. "Dear Wiggly Jiggly One, or it will kill." The voice in the walls went on. "Those who once moved here move no more. The dead on the ceiling once wiggled on the floor." The voice was trying to help, she realized. It was telling her not to move. The hideous predator would only attack what moved, what it saw as prey. It had finished spinning a gossamer shroud around her friend. It was waiting on its filmy, corpse-laden web, watching for the slightest movement below, ready to swoop down again. She held very still and whispered a timid thank you to the phantom. She was terribly afraid of it, but feared the spider more. "Are you a ghost?" she asked, not really wanting to know the answer. "In went the knife and out went me guts, but I wouldn't have a voice, 'tweren't for the cuts," it answered. She didn't fully understand, but he definitely sounded like a ghost. "Oh dear, poor ghost, can you help me?" she asked softly. "I have tried many times to be rid of the beast. A friend waits outside who can end its grim feast." "You have a friend outside who can kill it? Why can't he come in here? How can we get it to go out there?" she asked excitedly, her fear and frustration building. Her agitation started to show in her body language. She unconsciously started pacing back and forth as she spoke. There was no need to wait for a reply. She had moved enough to catch the spider's interest. The center of its brutish body was drawing back like the ball in a slingshot. "Run," the ghost yelled. She dashed to the entrance, screaming. The bloodsucker lunged. It landed on its feet where she had been not a second before. She made it outside. To the top, her invisible helper urged. She listened to it. She scrambled up the slick, bumpy surface. At the dome's crest, dead center of the summit, was what looked like a tree, but there was an odd smoothness to the part above the trunk. It was too dark, too shiny. She didn't have time to examine the shape. "Look out," shouted the ghost voice. She turned around. The spider had followed her. It was right behind her already. It was reared back, recoiled, about to pounce, its forelimbs spread wide to snatch her up, its greedy mouth open. No time to run, she thought. Now she would join the hollow ones, the empty silk-wrapped others. The spider leapt up. She waited, feeling as though her spirit had already left her body. It didn't come down. A creature 10 times larger than it had caught it in its mouth. A fur-covered demon of the night with brown skin wings stretched over thin finger-like bones. It was so big she had thought it was part of the top of the tree. It had been perched there on the tree trunk, waiting for the spider to get close enough to catch. The pointy-eared, snub-nosed savior gave her a wink, then fluttered into the night, chewing its dinner. "Thank you," she called after it. The ghost spoke the spider's eulogy. "Picked like a fruit, as you picked so many others." A blinding light suddenly flashed on. It was instantly day. "And so picked was I, from the vine of my brothers." "Katie, bring the pumpkin in. I turned the porch light on for you," a mother's voice spoke nearby. "Our friend the bat, his aim was true. Come back inside quickly. It's now safe for you," the jack-o'-lantern said to the little cricket. "Make sure you blow the candle out," the mother added. The screen door squealed as Katie came out. The little cricket crawled into the jack-o'-lantern through one of its eyes. Little Katie looked at the sweet-smelling pumpkin. She couldn't bring herself to lift the almost perfect tree-trunk-like lid and blow out the candle. There was something holy about the spooky little lantern. She didn't want to disturb it. Children know that there are secret worlds hidden within our world, worlds with tiny life and death stories. As she carried the pumpkin to the garage, she noticed something different about it. She could have sworn she had carved a sad mouth for the face, but it was smiling now. Happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween.